Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential people, and people that are making an impact on our community today. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm who specializes in website design, creating social media ads, engaging brands online today. Check out if your business needs help with any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details. Today, I'm joined inside the Pyramid Roof Contractor Studio by Sam Noddle, President of Hospitality and Vice President of Leasing with the Noddle Companies. Sam, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
The name is unique, right? It's Noddle Companies. Tell us about the umbrella and who all is under Noddle Companies.
Yeah, well, it's changed a lot over the last 50 years, 52, 53 years. The company was started by my grandfather, building grocery store anchored shopping centers in small towns all across the Midwest. So from Laramie, Wyoming, as far west to Gunnison, Colorado, as far south to El Paso, Texas. They even had a stint of building CVS and Walgreens in New York and New Jersey. It's changed a lot since then. My dad's been running the company for 20 plus years. His name is Jay Noddle.
Yep.
And he's taken it in a really cool direction. We specialize in master plans for big, large developments and thinking through what would be good to go next to what. He's done a great job it's our team has done a great job of creating a niche building office buildings, both single tenant office buildings and mixed use office buildings. And then over the last 5 years, we've kind of grown into some interesting verticals. We've got Noddle Architecture. We've got two women on our team, Lisa Miller and Ashley Byers, that are, honestly, they are world-class. They're phenomenal architects. They came from large firms, HDR and TAC and others outside of the state. We have our general contracting license, so we've got 6 construction teammates that all came from big contractors across the country. We've got a property management division. We manage all of our own properties. We also do third-party work. Most recently, we've ventured into the hospitality business. That happened in 2022.
That's a wide range of things. Talk to me about that. When we say the hospitality side of things, what do you mean by that? Give us an example.
So in 2019, we built a food hall, and we didn't know what we were doing.
Sure.
There were no food halls in Omaha. We saw it happening in Miami. We saw it happening in New York and LA and Chicago. We built one. We had a partner from the Northeast that ran it and then passed it over to us in 2022 when we created the hospitality business. It's called the Inner Rail. So we run the Inner Rail, and then we own and operate.
In Exarban, correct?
In Exarban, yeah. And we own and operate a bar in there, the Backstretch Bar.
Yep.
We have 2 concepts that we own and operate in there, Tiny's Pizza and No Name Cafe. And then there's a bunch of other cool concepts in there that we don't own, but we're partners with. So Nori Sushi, Smash Burgers, just to name a few. We've got Momo there. We've got Zaytuna and a couple others. And then we have another bar on the north side of the food hall, north of the HDR building in Exarban Village, called Sonny's. So Sonny's is interesting. It's been around now for about 4 years or 4 seasons because we close it in the wintertime. And it's purely an experiential space. We didn't know what we were doing when we started, and we've had to learn through trial and error. And believe me, there's been a lot of errors, primarily by myself. But it's been really...
Is that a fun part of it for you, though?
Yeah.
Like, I can't help but notice you smile when you say that. And I think a lot of people, when they say, this went wrong or that went wrong, we talked to a lot of contractors in here, and we're talking about negative spaces, usually a sigh and a drone sound before. But you had a smile on your face when you said that. Is that part of what makes your job fun for you?
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, for me, the coolest part of my job is our team, our people. They're awesome. And then, we make mistakes, and hopefully we make small mistakes, and that's how we learn. I was never like an A+ student. I had to work my butt off to get B+ and A-.
Sure.
And oftentimes I learned by my mistakes. And finally, by the end of college, I learned that you just got to study with the smart people.
It helps. It helps.
I would have learned that in high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the hospitality business for us has been very humbling, and it's fun. It has there's a big connection with hospitality and real estate. You know, they have this symbiotic relationship where great hospitality happens to make real estate a lot better.
Well, and let me ask you about that portion because I think that's really interesting. Because I think anytime somebody sees the big back end of a trailer with Noddle Companies
Yeah.
on it, we're thinking about large buildings and big projects. Does it seem weird to have the conversation about owning a bar and building a business at the same time, and those things kind of being in an intermediate, intertwined business?
You know, I don't think so. You know, when we started programming Exarban and really becoming operators ourselves, we learned a lot about the real estate. Believe it or not, we learned a lot of things that you know, maybe we weren't thinking about, like in terms of, like, I'll give you an example. Like, we learned how important storage was.
Sure.
Like, as a real estate developer, like, you don't think about storage for restaurant operators. Like, you leave that to the restaurant operator.
Right.
But once you're an operator, you think about the building so much differently. And so it's given us as developers, as space creators, amazing perspective. It's also helped us lease space, right? Because
Sure.
we'll design space as if we need to take it and we need to operate it. And that just makes it so much better for the people that are going to lease it for us. So I think it's been great. It's important. And when you look at some of our aspirational peers in the development world, the related groups of New York, you know, they're operators as well, not just of food and beverage, but also of fitness and wellness. And fitness and wellness is something that Noddle Companies is really interested in learning more about and incorporating into our projects.
I can't help but notice that's the second time you've referenced New York. And I think when we talk about Nebraska and Omaha, it's very rarely in comparison to New York City, right?
Yeah.
How difficult is it to see, okay, this works in Miami, this works in New York, this works in Dallas, this works in California. Is that going to work in Omaha? Is that a conversation you guys are having?
Oh, of course. So I'll give you an example. So after high school, I moved to Miami. I lived in Miami for 12 years.
Rub that in, why don't you?
Yeah, I know, right? But I moved back. I moved back because there's
We all do.
Yeah, and, you know, there's something really special happening in Omaha. And you don't see that across the country very often. And I didn't see it when I was growing up, and I don't think it was happening when I was growing up. But it's really powerful what's happening here, and just all the different projects in the philanthropic community and the talent. But when I was in Miami, there were all these concepts, these outdoor bar concepts that were these amazing spaces.
Because they can have them year round.
Because they can have them year round. And then we decided, okay, you know, we had a site in Exarban that we weren't going to build on for a while. It just wasn't being used. And this would have been like April of 2020. I was walking around Exarban with my dad, and it was one of those gray spring afternoons. It felt like we were in like Warsaw, Poland.
Sure.
It was just gray. And we decided, you know what? All right, let's go activate this public space and let's create outdoor space, because in the middle of COVID, people wanted to be outside. And so I was doing a lot of work with a group out of Miami, a fitness group out of Miami, that was going and activating the rooftops of parking garages, because that was a place where they could have fitness facility, or fitness
Outside,
class,
open.
outside.
Yeah.
So on the north side of the HDR building, we decided, okay, let's go build a 4,000 square foot turf area with the one intention of having outdoor workout classes.
Sure.
And then that worked.
That's morphed.
That's morphed.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still have, it's crazy. We still have outdoor workout classes. We had a big salute the sunset on the summer solstice with Power Life. Last night, we had over 250 people at Exarban Run Club, which is a community club that we created. It's free. It's a run club every Wednesday night at 6:30, every Saturday morning at 10:30.
That's why I have such a hard time driving through there that time of night. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's a cool vibe there. At that
Absolutely.
point in time. But we started slow, and we just experimented with programming it. And then one thing led to another. We bought a 1964 Airstream in Amana, Iowa, and trailered it back. Didn't know what we were going to do, and said, okay, well, let's turn it into a bar. And turned it into a bar and opened it June of 2021.
And it looks cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And every year we've added on to it. And it's been great because it gives us a chance for our architecture team to help us design it. It gives us a chance for our contracting team to help us build it. And it gives us a chance for our hospitality team to run it. Oh, and then the property management team gets to kick the hospitality team every morning.
Sure. You've talked about Exarban a lot, and obviously that 10 years ago was a blank canvas, right? And we've kind of seen that area blow up with Stinson Park and the Interrail and everything that's been added into there. When you're having that conversation with your dad and you're walking through that area, do you have the ability, and maybe it's a combination of you and your dad, or maybe you, your dad, and your team, or whoever, to look at it and say, oh, there's something here, as far as even back then? Like, we needed to jump on this at that time because we saw where it was going.
Yeah. So I'll give you a story. So when I started spending more time in Omaha as an adult, I call myself somewhat of an adult right now.
Sure.
This would have been in 2020. It was really interesting because Omaha was becoming the city of villages, and I got to experience that.
Good point.
In Miami from 2012 all the way up to 2020. And everybody in Miami at that point in time was like, oh my God, it's becoming this city of villages, just like New York.
Right, the boroughs.
In the 1980s, yeah.
Yep.
So in Omaha, you see Millwork Commons. You see Little Bohemia. You see Blackstone. You see you see Dundee. You see Benson. You see downtown
Old
Elkhorn.
Market, yeah.
You see the old market. You see Exarban. It's becoming this city of villages. And every little neighborhood or village or borough has their own thesis, right? Blackstone is the place where the coolest bars are. Millwork is the place where they have this amazing public art. And
People in Benson are so pissed at you right now, but keep going.
Benson, same thing, right? But
Yeah.
they all have
No,
their
I
own,
agree.
They all have their own vibe, and they're all really special. But Exarban didn't have that.
Yeah.
We needed to pick a lane. And so what we decided is
It was originally just the movie theater, and then everything else came along.
yeah, and what we've decided, and it's been a slow grind over time, but we want to be known as a wellness-oriented community. So
okay.
we went out, we built out public space where people could go and do a yoga class. We built out an outdoor dog park. We built out a sand volleyball court. We got a bike shop to come to the village. We got a running store to come to the village. Now we're really focused on getting some wellness-oriented food into the village. But we've got 2 juice
Green Bellies down there. You guys got a couple of
well,
juice
now
stops?
it's Rub, Rotisserie Urban Bistros in the Green Belly space.
Oh, okay.
It's just, you gotta go. It's awesome. The guy,
It's clearly been a while since I've been to Exarban, but
yeah, Rub's
Yeah.
great. It's
Yeah.
Carlos Mendez is the founder of Au Courant.
Okay.
And Dolomite, him and his partner did something amazing in
I
Millburn.
love rotisserie chicken, so yeah, I'm in.
Dude, you gotta go. It's just awesome. It's amazing.
We're catching up with Sam Noddle, the Noddle Companies, here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. Sam, for you, if we're talking about growth,
Yeah.
when you look at everything Noddle Companies has done, over 20 states, work has been done in. We're talking about the hospitality industry, building buildings and stuff. Where does Noddle Companies want to be 5-10 years from now? What does that look like in Omaha?
Well, we're committed to finishing building out Exarban and refining the neighborhood.
Okay.
And using Exarban as a beta test. We're very committed to the core of the city. We have a project in downtown Omaha called the Builders District,
Okay.
which is just south of Cummings Street, adjacent to Creighton,
Yep.
and kind of around the Kiewit corporate headquarters. And
Which you guys built that building as well, correct?
we did, yeah. Kiewit's an amazing client of ours. They're a partner of ours. They build a lot of our buildings, and we learn a lot from them on a regular basis. But a lot of the lessons that we've learned in Exarban over the last 15 or 20 years, we're taking that, we're applying it to the Builders District. And the focus for Exarban being a wellness-oriented neighborhood is something that we're trying to bring to the Builders District. In fact,
Sure.
the first lease that we signed in the Builders District was with a first-to-market boutique fitness facility, Fly Fitness. So Fly
Okay.
Fitness should open up in October, and it'll be great for the area because it's going to service the north downtown corridor. All the Creighton students are going to be able to go there. They could walk there. It's a block and a half away.
Sure.
It's adjacent to public space. We've learned a lot about public space, what to do, what not to do with Stinson Park and what we call Zone 6 and Sunny's and Exarban. So the Builders District has 2 public spaces. The first one is actually finished. We haven't opened it to the public yet, but it's Builders Green, and it's situated just south of Cummings between 16th and 17th, just to the west of the Kiewit corporate headquarters.
You've brought up Creighton and UNO in just the 15 minutes we've been talking. When we're talking about Exarban, when we're talking about Eastern North Downtown, how much of a conversation has been had when you guys are looking at things to put there with, yeah, we want to get Omaha involved. We kind of have this niche already built in ecosystem with these 2 universities, with obviously everything going on at Baxter Arena and around 64th and Center, and then everything going on at Creighton's campus with the building out of the CU Sports Complex and all the additions going on athletically down there as well. How many, when we're talking about those 2 spaces, are there the grander 10,000-foot view of Omaha, and how much of the conversation is being built around, hey, we've got a bunch of students that are going to be here for 9 months out of the year too.
Absolutely. So, Creighton and UNO are amazing partners, and we're constantly trying to strengthen that relationship, not just through communication, but also bringing in students from Creighton, bringing in students from UNO's interns, and hopefully hiring them, right?
Right.
That's a big focus.
Goes a long way.
It goes a long way. It helps us. It helps them, but it's a big focus for us. Then on top of that, like, just, focusing on our community. Like, I'll give you an example. So in Exarban, we're building a calisthenic area. We built this calisthenic area a couple years ago. We didn't put a lot of thought into it, and it's worked a little bit, but now we're going back and we're redoing it. So what we did is we created a survey, and we sent it out on Instagram through Exarban Run Club and on Noddle Companies Instagrams and things like that. And we're trying to get the community's input on what makes a calisthenic park interesting and why will they use it, right? And that's really important. We're trying to bring that wellness into the neighborhoods. It's something that you see in New York and Miami and LA and all these places where, you can go and you can do pull-ups and dips and things like that.
Right.
But you don't really have that in Omaha.
The few that I could think of off the top of my head have all been removed in the last decade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to go and do this. We already have it, but we're going to make it a lot better, and we're going to honor it. We're going to put it catty corner to the yoga studio right next to the dog park, right across from the public space. And we're going to encourage people to go and work out there. And then what we're doing is actually kind of cool. We'll have QR codes that you can scan, and it will show you a workout, right?
To do. Sure.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Absolutely. One of the other things that we're starting to do and that we're exploring is we want to create areas in our projects for mindfulness and also create areas for socialization. So in the Builders Green, in the Builders District, we have 2 zones. One of them is, we kind of call it Picnic in the Hills, and then we have another one called the Tea Garden. So the Tea Garden is set up for people to have like a little bit more private space. It's all real grass. We spend a lot of time and energy and focus on planting the right plants around there, but it's set up so that people can go there and just have a moment to themselves. Take their shoes off, stand on grass.
Put your phone down.
Unless
you're listening to this podcast.
Exactly. But then we also have an area that's set up for socialization. And what we've learned is like we got to create areas where people feel comfortable, that they're inspired to socialize, and ultimately feel happy.
Right.
If they're happy and they're comfortable in our spaces, they're always going to want to be there.
Yep.
So we're thinking about that. So much time and energy goes into how can we make people feel comfortable? How can we make them feel happy? How can we encourage them to socialize? But how can we also provide an area for them to have a moment?
I want to go back to what you said a minute ago, and you said you're going to honor those areas. And that's an interesting concept to me because we started this podcast off talking about that your grandfather started this company. You work closely with your dad. Yeah. You guys are very passionate about keeping people healthy and strengthening the Omaha community. What does it mean to you personally to be able to work for a Noddle Company? Your last name's on the front of the building, and it's your grandfather's invention and something you were able to carry on.
Oh man, I got goosebumps.
I can only imagine, man. It's been passed down to you, and you're running with it, literally and figuratively.
It's pretty special. I can tell you, I look up to those guys. My grandfather was my best friend.
Mine too, man.
Yeah,
his last name's tattooed on my leg. I get it.
I wanted to get it tattooed, but then I know he would roll over and
sure. Yeah.
And my dad is just like, we're so different, but he's just got the biggest heart, and I aspire to be, half of what both my dad and my grandfather are. If I could be half the man that either one of those guys are, then I'm happy, because I've got big shoes to fill, and they're just amazing people. And
best piece of advice your dad's ever given you?
Oh man, he's given me so much.
Is there a saying that stuck with you?
Bad news beats you home.
Yep. I like that one. Okay.
Yeah, bad news beats you home. Lately, he's caught me a couple of times. I have a tendency to say I a lot. And he's constantly reminding me it's we, and he's right. Sure. And it's a habit that I need to break. And what makes Noddle Companies special is our team. And our team, I'm never the smartest guy in the room, and I never want to be the smartest guy in the room.
That means you guys hire well.
we hire well, and our team hires well, and they're good humans.
Sure.
And I came back to Omaha because I saw how important this community is, the people here, but also
I don't know what just happened there. Sorry about that.
it's all good. But also, the people at Noddle Companies. I mean,
Yeah.
they're world-class people.
Who are some you mentioned a few already, but is there anybody that we haven't mentioned in this podcast from people that maybe deserve a little bit more credit than they get at the firm or what they're doing in the community?
We have some young people coming up that are really good, that are really talented. There's a woman that works with us, Jewel Rogers, Johnny Rogers' daughter.
Yeah.
She
is a great public speaker, by the way.
Oh my, I've never met anybody better.
She's incredible.
She is amazing. And I got news for you. She is smart.
Yeah.
She's good.
Did you ever hear her the poem that she wrote about her dad?
I don't. So I've heard maybe 10 of her poems. She just competed.
She performed it at the Jet Award last year and got a standing ovation from about 13,000 people. It was that good.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. She's great.
Yeah, we've got actually my little brother
Okay.
joining the ranks, and
His name is
Aaron.
Shout out to Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron. Yeah, I'm very impressed with him. He's growing up well. He's becoming a really important asset to our team. I mentioned our architects. There's there's so many people. We've got some of these construction folks that we have on our team. We got this guy Nate. Him and I, we always joke we're gonna fight one day, but he's world class.
Yeah.
He's world class.
Could you take him?
Yeah.
We're catching up with Sam Noddle of Noddle Companies here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractors studio. We've covered a lot here, man, and I can't help but feel like you've taken this aura of Miami that you got to kind of ensconced into when you were down there, and you brought it with you back to Omaha. Was that kind of the thought process when you came back, and how do you think that vision has changed in that time?
Yeah, for sure. Man, I got so lucky in Miami because when I was a student at the University of Miami, I got an internship, and that internship led to a job, and that led to amazing mentors. And the mentors that I had in Miami and still have to this day showed me a lot and what works, what doesn't work. I also had mentors that showed me a lot about what not to do.
Sure.
And
Probably equally as, or if not more important.
more important.
Yeah.
More important. And so, when I came back to Omaha, my dad was really great in the sense that he gave me a lot of freedom. Mm-hmm. I'd worked hard in Miami for 6 or 7 years. I made a lot of mistakes there, and I got a little bit wiser and had great experiences. And so when I came back to Omaha,
I moved to Daytona for a year, so I get the connection, man. I get it.
When I came back to Omaha, every day you have a lot to learn, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I was starting from nothing. I started in the business working on rent relief deals, in Miami. And then when I came back to Omaha, I started at Noddle Companies working on rent relief deals. Everybody likes you when you're offering them free rent.
Yeah.
But
Let's save you some money this month.
Yeah,
You're the nicest guy ever.
But then that led to leasing. And, I remember my dad gave me the opportunity to work on the HDR building. And we put Power Life Yoga there. And then I was working with a plant shop out of New York and in Miami. And we were trying to figure out what goes really nicely next to a yoga studio that's not food and beverage across from the food hall. And we put a plant shop there.
I want to touch on that for a second because on the Noddle Company's website it says when we say all-inclusive approach to the building, what does that mean? What does all that entail?
Well, we think about buildings inside out. I mean, now we start to think about buildings as operators, as occupants.
Sure.
Then we design the buildings. Our team can design anything. Now, we partner with local architects because that's really important for that perspective, and we always learn with working with great partners. And then we build it ourselves, right? And then we manage it ourselves. And then we lease it ourselves. And Noddle Companies, we don't typically build and sell things. When we plant our flag, we're there for the long haul. That's our approach, and I don't think that others who have different approaches is incorrect. It's just not the thesis of their business.
There's more than one right way to do this, do something. Yeah.
And when we plant our flag, we're there. We're there. These are legacy assets. Hopefully, these are these are assets for my grandchildren.
Yeah.
And hopefully they get better over
Do you have kids
time.
yet?
No.
No, okay, I didn't think so. I
No.
was
Single and ready to mingle.
sure, okay. Not that kind of podcast, but we can look at that avenue. When you're having these conversations with the team, and I mean, it's got to be a constant brainstorm, right? Like there's got to be, when we're talking about the development of Omaha and what's next. Exarban may never be finished. It may grow to that point, right? What's next? What do you think is the next spot that could resemble when we're talking about the next borough of Omaha? Where do you think it is?
Downtown.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where we're focused on.
to make old new again.
To make old new again. Yeah, and to so we have about 6 or 7 different values, but as a company, but 3 values that have always really struck with me is simple, quality, and timeless.
Okay.
And when you look at downtown Omaha, it's simple. Traditionally, the buildings are quality.
Yeah.
And when you look at the old market, like that's timeless, right?
For sure.
Now our philanthropic community and our city has built us a $400 million park right in the heart. And you go anywhere in the world.
And they're adding on to it with the skate park and everything else
Yeah.
that's down there. Yep.
And I tell you, man, you go to Madrid, you go to London, you go to New York, you're not going to find a park that's better, right? They might be as good, but they're not better.
Than Gene Leahy.
No.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing. Like that's awesome. And then if you look at our airport, I think it's maybe $800 billion in the airport.
And growing.
And growing. Okay. So what that does for a guy that's 31, that makes the city for me more livable,
Sure.
right? It also makes it more visitable.
You could come and go.
I can come and go,
Yep.
right? This is a great place to have as base camp. And so,
This is a great time for me to say, hey, the folks at Epley, if you could get back to us about doing this podcast, we'd appreciate it. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to ruin your thought.
I don't know anything about it, but
Yeah.
I'm a big champion of it. And, if you think about it, like the airport is the entrance to our community, right? So we have this great house, but we just got to, I don't know, I can't.
You can say badass. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, we're getting a badass new glass door, right?
Right.
We
Yeah.
get a badass new glass door.
It's got fresh Windex on it,
It's
too.
got fresh Windex. It's super efficient. It's got WD-40, right? And so, for us, the Builders District makes a lot of sense because it's at the entrance to our community on Cummings Street.
Sure.
It's next to an amazing university. It's right in the heart of
CHI Center's there.
the CHI Center. Kiewit is there. I mean, Kiewit is a legacy company. They're an amazing company.
Born, scratched and bred right here, yeah.
Omaha.
Yeah.
They share the Omaha values. And then you look at some of the other developers in Omaha, and they're awesome. I mean, these guys and gals are talented, and you look at what's
Got a few of them in here. Yeah.
yeah,
absolutely.
and like what they're doing in Millwork, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is cool. Like not every city, most cities don't have that. And so for Millwork to be there and for Builders District to be just to the south of it, the idea is that these kind of grow together and it'll be something that's really organic. And I've seen it, right? I've experienced it in Miami. I've felt this before. I've been a part of it.
It's hard not to notice that Omaha is growing west and Lincoln is growing east with Ashland and everything that's going there. And obviously Lincoln kind of growing around it to some degree as well. Is that good for business in your opinion? Is growth always good, or is it a matter of it can grow too fast too quickly and that's bad for everybody?
I think growth is extremely important, right? We're always growing. As humans, you always have to be growing.
Right.
You have to be learning, you have to be growing. I don't think I have enough experience and wisdom to tell you if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Sure.
I can tell you right now at this point in my life, I'm not that interested in doing a bunch of projects out west.
Okay.
I think that there's
Does it seem? Is that because it seems like everybody else is? Is that a thing?
yeah, I mean, it's like when everybody's zigging, maybe I like to zag or we like to zag. But there's not lying. You can't lie in demographics, right? There's great demographics out here. It's an amazing quality of life. And it does seem natural. And Noddle Companies may have a project or two in the future further out west.
Just not right now.
Yeah, and look, across the street, we've built and sold a lot of land. We've built some great projects there. We've built all the car dealerships and sold to a couple different car dealerships, and that's all natural, right?
Yeah.
But for us to go and try and do an Exarban Village or a Builders District out west right now, that's probably not in our core competency. Like we're focused on Exarban. We're focused on builders district, and then we're focused on serving some of our amazing clients like Keywood in the medical center and things like that.
If we're talking about building buildings and running bars and the wide range that the umbrella that Noddle Companies is, what's the next venture? What is the next crease or wrinkle in Noddle Companies look like? Is there anything that you guys haven't dove into that you've discussed or would like to?
So yeah, that's a great question, and I think about that a lot. For me, Sam Noddle, what I'm most interested in is wellness and sustainability. Noddle Companies, our core competency is real estate, and that's always got to be our main focus.
Sure.
We've gotten into hospitality. Do we aspire to be the next flagship restaurant group? Absolutely not.
Oh, they're gonna say yes. I was like, really?
No,
Okay.
we do not. No, and the flagship guys are amazing.
Yep.
And I love what they're doing, and they've been awesome mentors.
The Commons have been great too. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like those guys. Like they're just if I had a beer, I would cheers to them, salute to them. But no, we only want to do hospitality projects in our buildings. We ventured into fashion. We opened up a men's clothing store in Exarban in one of our buildings, and that's growing.
And it's called
A Priori.
Okay.
And that's growing. We just got a Hoka account that we announced today. But that will grow into home goods, design, and eventually women's. But the next thing is wellness and sustainability. That seems right for us. It seems important for everything.
We like to kind of cut it off at that half-hour mark, and we're a little over now. We're talking to Sam Noddle from Noddle Company. He's here on Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. Is there anything about Noddle Companies that we haven't touched on that you think we should mention before we shut it down for the day?
No, we're committed to the city, and we're always open to suggestions, and we always want to learn every single day. So yeah.
That's Sam Noddle from the Noddle Companies. Thanks for taking time out of doing this. I know we kind of booked this out in advance, so I appreciate you making time in your schedule for us. We will be back tomorrow, catching up with the folks from Warner Trucking about their industry, how they're helping the city of Omaha, creating jobs, and a whole lot more tomorrow at 11 o'clock here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside of the Pyramid Contractor Studio. Thanks, man.